right, hello. Welcome to this Intermittent Fasting live Q&A. My name is Kayla Cox, and I am the owner of this channel, 6 Miles to Supper. If you've never joined one of these lives before, know that you can ask any question you'd like in the chat box, and I will do my best to answer it. I am not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I am just someone who has been there and done that on the weight loss journey. I lost 80 pounds with intermittent fasting, and the main way I did that was to eat once a day, also known as OMAD, and to walk 6 miles a day. But I also did a lot of different kinds of intermittent fasting on the way. I did, I started out with actually a really short window and worked my way up very gradually, really over the course of a couple of years. And so I've been maintaining my weight loss. My initial weight loss was about 65 pounds. I've been maintaining that since the end of 2016, and I got down to my goal weight of 142 at the end of 2018, and so I've been maintaining in the 140s since then. So so let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and get to a question. Before I do that, I should also add that if you would like to get a weekly newsletter from me, you can do so on my website, 6milestosupper.com/newsletter. And I take a reader question each week, people who are, maybe having trouble on the weight loss journey in some way, and I write, an answer to that question. And I also provide some, just behind the scenes looks at my life. And I'm planning on doing some special events too, newsletter only subscriber type, like maybe a Zoom call, things like that. There's also, aside from all the videos I've done on this channel, which now it's like over 300 and something 300 and something videos. So there's that. And I also do a podcast, and you can get those wherever you like to listen to your podcasts. You can do that on, gosh, I use Podcast Addict because I love that app, but things like Spotify, Apple, iTunes, sorry, there we go. And I also have a couple books about weight loss if you are looking for a more just compact version of what I do, The Laid Back Guide to Intermittent Fasting and Overcoming Weight Loss Obstacles, How to Keep Going When Things Get Difficult. Those are two books that people have found helpful, and I would hope that you find them helpful as well. So someone asked, and you can't see it on the chat right now, but they came in here before when I just posted the live was going to come up, and they asked me if I could provide. Let's see, they said, I would love for you to do a video of what I eat in a day. And this came from Ren A, which I know that's not technically a question, but it's something that I do think is worth talking about. I don't often, I think one time several years ago, I made a video about the intermittent fasting meal plan, and people often ask, about what you should eat. And I just eat everything. I don't have any rules at all about, what kinds of foods to eat. Like, I am not low carb. I don't do keto. I eat generally homemade food, but that's about as specific as I get. If we were to go out to eat, I will eat whatever's at the restaurant, even if it's fast food. We don't often do that. Just to kind of give you an idea of my life, I don't often go out. That's more budgetary though than it is a conscious decision to try to avoid fast food or anything like that. So I do make most of my stuff at home, but I don't often, or I've never actually made one of those videos like what I eat in a day. One time I did do like a blog post of what I ate over the past week, just in hindsight. And that's a little, I feel like any of these videos that I might make in the future, I've always hesitated to do them because there's this thing called the Hawthorne effect, which means that as soon as a person knows that they're being watched, then they change their behavior. And so I know that if I do one of these videos, I am going to change my behavior. I mean, it's just this thing that does happen to people. Even if you're trying to, say, well, I'm just going to pretend like the camera's not there. The camera is there. So it's likely that I would eat less or eat, like more vegetables. Like, oh, I need to throw a salad in there so that people aren't, going to be mean about it or something. But I do think it's sometimes helpful to kind of give you an idea of what I'm eating. And so when I saw that question, I thought, well, I do remember what I had yesterday. I ate one meal. So I can give you pretty accurately what I ate. Although I will say this, and I actually just did a podcast earlier this week about calorie counting and intermittent fasting. And the thing about calorie counting, there are a couple of problems there. One is, you really never know how many calories you're burning unless you go into like a metabolic chamber, which that costs millions of dollars. And so you probably don't know exactly how many calories you're burning from day to day. You can use something like, a Fitbit. This is a Zururu. A lot of fitness trackers will tell you approximately how many calories you're burning, but they can be way off. And another part of that is, as far as the calories you're consuming, in order to be really accurate, you really need to be weighing and measuring everything. Weighing actually is even more accurate than measuring, because with measuring, you can squish down the food sometimes and get more in there. And so really weighing food is the most accurate way to do it. But weighing everything that you eat all day long is really tedious and annoying, or at least it is for me. I did do that for a few weeks in 2015, but it was not good as far as I did not enjoy it. But last night I ate, so I fasted all day long. I did have like about 3 cups of coffee during my fasting window, which is pretty normal for me. As best I can remember, it was three coffees. Right now I'm writing, so when I'm writing, I really like to drink coffee. So I'm not real great about like remembering. Like, I can't tell you right now how many cups of coffee I've had today. I think probably 3 at this point, but I don't know. Okay, so what did I eat though? So throughout the day, let's say 3 coffees, and probably, I don't really know how many calories are in each cup of coffee that I drink, because I just pour the half and half in until my coffee turns the right color. Again, I hate measuring. I just like my life. I want this, everything that I do on this weight loss journey, and especially in maintenance, to just feel easy. I want to have the weight loss results and maintain in range. I don't want to regain the weight, but I also don't want to drive myself crazy. So I'm always trying to strike that balance. So there's probably about 80 calories in each cup of coffee I drink, and I guessed 4 tablespoons. That might be high, might be low, depending on how strong the coffee is. So what did I have as my actual food? So last night, my husband and I, we had date night, and it was like late when we ate. I can't remember exactly what time. Looks like we're maybe buffering or something. Let's see. I will keep talking, but I'm also going to keep an eye on whether or not it's actually going. Okay. So I had, I made kind of like let's see. Okay. It looks like the chat disconnected, but now everybody is back on there. So hopefully everything's fine now. So I had, my husband made Chinese beef, we call it Chinese beef, but all it is you fry up ground beef, just brown some ground beef, and then you dump in some Mayploy sweet chili sauce and you mix that together, and it works. I really love that stuff. I don't know if you've ever had it, but it's really good. And then I had white rice. So now again, I did not measure any of this, but I knew that we had a pound of ground beef that we browned, and I knew that I ate about half of that. And we did not drain the stuff off. So, okay, so I would estimate that was about 576 calories worth of ground beef, because it was about a half a pound. The rice, I probably had about a cup of cooked white rice. I measured some out on a plate. This is the plate I eat from, or one of the many plates I eat from, but this size plate is a 9-inch luncheon plate from Fiestaware. But so I put some more rice on there this morning because I was like, or just a few minutes ago, because I wanted to think, like, okay, is that about how much? And yeah, it was about a cup of rice, and a cup of rice is about 200 calories. So, okay. And then I had a slice of homemade red velvet cake from Sally's baking addiction. I used that recipe. Now, that's another one of those things where it's like, it's really hard to know because you have to then say, okay, exactly how much of the cake did I eat? I do know that, like, you can, put all those calculations into a recipe calculator, and it'll tell you. But I did look up several different recipes, and I saw how many calories were in there. I would bet that I had about 550 calories worth of red velvet cake. It might have been more than that. And so if you add all that up, it's about, if my calculations are correct, it's about 1,766 calories. So probably around 1,800 calories is what I ate. And that's, I would say that was a pretty, that's pretty much what I would normally eat as far as quantity. The reason I say that, again, this is all kind of guessing. The reason I say that, though, is because of my hunger levels today. I don't feel very hungry, so that tells me I'm probably eating about the same amount that I normally do. But again, based on your activity levels, you can feel hungrier or not as hungry. I have already walked my 6 miles today. So there you go. So on that particular day, yesterday, I would guess about 1,800 calories. But again, there's several. So I know people are like, they want to see what I eat, and so I do like to be like open and honest about like what types of foods I eat. I'm relatively high carb. I eat on a regular basis pizza, homemade. We do homemade pizza pretty much every week, usually with pepperoni on it, but sometimes it's just cheese pizza. Sometimes I have other toppings on it, turkey sausage, or let's see, what else? Ground beef is sometimes a thing, onions, things like that. Another meal that we have every week is spaghetti. So spaghetti with the jarred sauce and the dried noodles, just mix it together, and that's what I eat. And usually, I would say usually it's going to be like 2 plates of spaghetti. Okay, but again, that can be a difficult thing to know when I say 2 plates of spaghetti. Like, how high is it piled? There's a lot that goes into that can make a huge difference in how many calories a person is actually eating. I would say I generally put like a scoop or so on this plate, and then if I'm still hungry, I eat more. I do always go based off of how hungry I feel. And whether, like, as soon as I feel full, then I try to stop eating. I try very hard to not eat any additional bites once I have that thought of, okay, I'm full. That's easier said than done. And especially if you get to talking and, you're talking with your kids and your husband and you're not really paying attention. And then it's like, oh, like maybe I'm a little overfull. So, but you just learn from that. So, so there you go. So that's an example of my eating. I'm trying to think of other meals that are on general rotation in my household, just to give you an idea, like what is she eating? Beans and rice. But so black beans that I make from, not from scratch. I mean, it's just dried beans that I put in the Instant Pot. But so black beans and white rice. And I usually put, I know this is gross for a lot of you, but mayonnaise in my beans. It's a Southern thing. That's all I can say about that. And so quiche, I make quiche from time to time. Let's see, what else? Tacos, just, regular taco meat, and sour cream, cheddar cheese, all that good stuff. Guacamole if I'm feeling luxurious. And so, so hopefully that gives you kind of an idea of just, those are the types of foods I'm eating. Like I said, if I had to qualify it, it would probably be like, I'm higher carb. it's like high everything. It's not really low fat. It's not really low protein. Protein is probably the most expensive of the things right now at the grocery store. So there's probably less protein than I would like for there to be, just from a standpoint of liking. I love meat. I really, really love meat. So there you go. Let's see. So Ines Moonlight says she has helped. This has helped her learn how to stop in my fasting window when I'm thinking I'm hungry. So I think you mean like when you're feeling hungry, you're stopping and you're thinking about things instead of just eating automatically. So very good. Excellent. Let's see. Electric Carbella says, I'm doing a 25-hour fast today because I'm working a double shift. It's so difficult to do in a garage with foodie mechanics. My husband will have bean burritos ready when I arrive home. That's awesome. Yeah, like the fasting around other people part is it's an interesting thing. I think a lot of people think that's a really hard thing to do. Like that must, like from the outside, they think, oh, it must be really hard to fast when other people are eating. I found that not to be true from the standpoint of I didn't find that I was feeling the urge to eat. However, if there's a different kind of a situation, more like an event, like where the event centers like around food, I do tend to just go ahead and eat. I not from the standpoint of like, oh, I feel so hungry, but just because of the sharing of the meal kind of thing. But I can imagine if the food's really good. I was not in that position when I was doing the bulk of my weight loss. I'm just at home. I'm a stay-at-home mom. My kids are homeschooled. They were all kind of on different eating schedules. We just had kind of this. We still do have this laid-back kind of a schedule. So each kid would kind of get up on their own time clock, and so they would just kind of eat at different times. So I never really had to deal with the whole like, let's all sit down and I'm not eating but everyone else around me is eating. So but yeah, like I love doing OMAD because of how you can just like look forward to that meal. And one thing I know, like with OMAD, I enjoy the food so much more than if I eat like three times during the day. I eat. It's like, I'm very grateful for the food, but there's something about like the taste of the food. It's even beans and rice, which is a meal that when I am not fasting, if I just have beans and rice, I'm like, yeah, it's like just kind of, it's beans and rice. But man, like if you've been fasting all day, it's like you can taste them. You can really taste the food, and it's good stuff. Let's see. So, question from Patty B. Hi Kayla, do you eat OMAD every day? No, I don't. I actually never have eaten OMAD every day. When I first got started with intermittent fasting, I was doing windows, right? So just that traditional way of doing like, I started out actually like with an 8-hour window because I just wanted to make it feel easy. And so I pushed it out further and further. Eventually I did get to OMAD. And so, that was and that was in 2016. But at the beginning of 2016, I wrote down a plan for myself because I knew that I needed to be consistent. My problem up until that point was I kept quitting. I was not being consistent with any plan really. I was being consistent at that point with my step goal of being consistent, like exercising, but I was not being consistent with like a consistent way of eating. And so in 2016, I said, okay, I'm going to practice intermittent fasting 6 days a week. So Monday through Saturday, I'm going to take a cheat day every Sunday and I'm going to walk 6 miles a day. And so that's what I did. And so I've never just done OMAD every single day. So on Sundays, it's just like I eat whenever I want to. So usually that's like, I usually have my first meal, I would say around 11:30 on Sundays because it's after church. And there's usually there's a coffee hour that we go to after that. And there's usually kind of like snacky kind of foods. And so I'll eat, kind of snacky foods and then come home, and usually we'll eat a little something after that, and then we'll eat a little something. So usually I'm eating probably 3 times a day on Sunday, and I enjoy that. Like, I enjoy the freedom of that. The fact that, you know, like on Sunday it's usually, you know, it's just kind of a family day, and I like that. So but I do love OMAD. Like, I've often thought, you know, if I lived by myself and it was just like me all the time, I think I'd probably do OMAD every day. It's really more of a thing that I started doing because of my husband was doing, and he still continues to do this on Saturday mornings. He would make homemade pancakes, and so we would have those pancakes, and it kept throwing me off of my plan. I was like, wait, I can do this intermittent fasting thing, except for Saturdays. It keeps getting screwed up. So then that's why I said, okay, I'm going to take a cheat day every Sunday. He was doing it on Sundays before, and then we changed it over to Saturdays now. So actually so these days I take Sundays off. Saturdays are kind of like a weird day for me. I usually do, because he makes pancakes, so we do pancakes in the morning. I usually don't eat anything else though until supper, so it's kind of like a two-mad, kind of a weird two-mad though, in my opinion, but that's how I do it. And then through the week, these days, again, because I'm in maintenance, so I kind of take it by spells. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to do a 16-8 for a while, and then other times I'm like, I really just want to do OMAD. When I'm trying to write, and I have several writing projects going on right now, I find OMAD to be the most helpful with that. I can really delay myself on writing, like procrastinate a lot if I have that option to eat. So I just find it's easier just to say, I'm just doing OMAD right now. And so let's see. Electric Carbella said, for a what I eat video, you could just snap photos of your meals and pop them up on the screen and explain, kind of like you're doing now. That's a great idea, because that was another part of it. I was like, oh, it's going to be kind of awkward, like bringing the camera out, like, you know, it's like to family meal and stuff. I don't know. But yeah, I could do that, like a snapshot, and that would still show the portions and everything. I guess I could also take a picture, because one thing I was thinking is like, well, you know, what if I don't clean the plate? Although I usually do clean the plate. And I'm sure that's not a good habit. That was actually something Mark Hobb, so he's the Twinkie diet professor. I don't know if I've talked, I'm sure I've talked about him on this channel before, but so he is a nutrition professor who lost like 30 pounds just by eating what we would call, quote unquote, junk food. But all of his health markers improved, like, you know, LDL went down like you want it to, HDL went up like you want it to, and of course his BMI decreased. But he did that just by eating, like, you know, snack cakes and candy bars and all that stuff. That's how he ate. Just to try to prove a point, because he was a nutrition professor, and his idea was, well, you know, it really comes down to calories. It's really not about sugar per se. At that time, to give some context, was it the CD? I think it was the CDC that was saying, oh, well, sugar is like obesogenic, meaning like it causes obesity. And he was pushing back against that and saying, no, it's not that sugar causes obesity. It's just that eating too much of anything causes obesity, and reversing that process, so eating less, will, you know, cause you to lose weight. So that's what he did. So why did I started talking about him? Because I got off track. Let's see. Cleaning plates. But one thing that he was, as a nutrition professor, that he did was like this study to see like how much do people eat. And what he found was there are certain people who are plate cleaners, meaning they will just eat whatever's on the plate. Like, so if you give them fewer calories, they'll clean the plate and then that's it. And they'll just eat that many calories. But if you put more calories on the plate, they're still going to eat all those calories. And I feel like I'm that way. I'm a plate cleaner. So I know that I have that tendency. So I try to remember to, I try not to make it so that I will leave something on my plate and still eat the right amount let's see, did I say that right? I think I kind of said it wrong. But what I mean is I try to err on the side of putting a little less on my plate than I think I actually want. And then I'll, and then I'll get seconds because I know that I'm a plate cleaner. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. Let's see. Oh, okay. Rin asked, why did you choose to have half and half with your coffee instead of just milk? I'm in the UK and we don't have half and half here. Well, that's a good question. Well, it's like an American thing, I guess. Like, it's more common, I think. I mean, this might be more of a regional thing, but it's just like what you do. You put half and half in your coffee, or at least that's how I've always thought of it. And like if you go to a little coffee stand, right? Or like at a hotel, they've got a little coffee area. It's going to be half and half that's there. Although they may also have milk. I do occasionally, like if I run out of half and half, which is rare, because that is reason enough to run to the store for me, is I'm out of half and half. But the milk, like when I use just milk, and it just it's not as creamy. And so like it just doesn't taste as good. Like it's like in order for me to make the color turn right, if I want to use milk, then my coffee will not be hot enough. That's another part of that. So that's why I do that. And it is funny. I didn't know that half and half was like an American thing, but apparently, like in Britain, there's double cream. I don't even know. I remember one time I looked it up trying to figure out like how do I say this to British people so they'll know what I'm talking about. But half and half is like half milk, half cream. So if you take cream and milk and you put equal proportions in there, then that's what you get. So yeah, let's see here. Let's see. Sorry, I've got this light right here and it's in my way. So Megan Tillman has gone from 236 down to 149. Congratulations. That's fantastic. You have changed your life. If you would ever like to be interviewed, I would love to interview you. I always hesitate to ask people to be interviewed just because I know like it can really help people to share your story, but then also it can also put more pressure on you once you've like put your story out there to the public. But if you would ever like to be interviewed, you can email interviews@sixmilestosupper.com. And I would love to have you on here. I love to do the success stories. And if you guys have anybody like that you think I should reach out to, like I don't really watch a lot of like intermittent fasters and stuff. I just don't watch a lot of YouTube, and so I don't really know who all's out there. But I know that some people watch a lot of different channels. So if you know of anybody who's like also got like a success story, but they have a channel too, let me know in the comments, and I will try to reach out to them and see. So yeah. Oh. Miss Dougal Dog says heavy cream from grass-fed cows is the best thing in my book. Yeah, that is. I mean, heavy cream is obviously the most luxurious and wonderful. Like I don't often have it on hand. If I do. Like if I've made like some sort of cream-based pasta sauce or something, I will use that in my coffee for the next little time until it runs out, and man, it is delicious. Let's see. Ms. Dougal Dog says Dr. Mindy Pells recommends varying your fast as long-term OMAD will negatively affect hormones. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not a doctor, and I've looked trying to find long-term studies on OMAD. It's just hard to find. There are groups of people that do OMAD, like on a regular kind of basis, like monks, for example. There are certain monks who have, traditionally just eaten one meal a day. Of course, that's probably more male than female, so that's one part of it. I feel I kind of look at myself as like an experiment of one, right? Like a one woman experiment, a case study. And I've not, and to be fair, I've not done OMAD exclusively for the long term. Like, I am varying it because, like, I do take, Saturdays are kind of a 2MAD day. Sundays are an off day completely. And I should also mention, I take, oh yay, Megan, you do want to be interviewed, so look out, everybody, for that. That'll come up hopefully soon. So yeah, so varying it. So I have varied it. I take days off, like if we go on vacation, generally those will be just off days for me. Like I don't generally do like an intermittent fasting type of thing when I'm on vacation. Holidays would be another time, like usually just the day of the holiday. I don't take like long breaks from intermittent fasting, but just because I really enjoy I really do enjoy the fasting experience. Like, as far as, again, because it, like, the food tastes so much better, I get so much more done. And as someone who, I didn't realize it at the time, but I realized with the process of intermittent fasting, I tend to be an emotional eater. So when I have intermittent fasting set up, then I have some guardrails in place to not emotionally eat. So let's see. Let's see. I recommend Jackie, Intermittent Fasting Foodie. That was Electric Carbella. And actually, I did interview her. You might have missed it, but she was great. I really enjoyed her interview, and she actually had me on her show. And so do be sure to check her out, everybody. Jackie Moravec. I think I can't remember if I'm saying that right. I think it's Moravec. But anyway, she is great. She and I are very, very similar. I think maybe the only difference, I think she's like a clean faster. I think that's right. Somebody can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that. But I'm not. I'm a dirty faster, which, again, like, I didn't know that terminology when I was doing the weight loss thing, but because I allow myself half and half with my coffee, that's considered dirty fasting. I don't eat anything in the fasting window, but I do allow myself half and half. But to me, what was important was I wanted to lose weight, and so as long as I was losing weight, then I felt like my plan's a success. So I, like the technicality of, but you're having that half and half, yeah, but I don't mind it, because I'm able to have, because I was always trying to think about what could I do for the long term, not what can I stick with, until I get down to my goal weight, because I knew that was just going to confuse things. Like, I get down to my goal weight, and then what do I do? Like, if I'm miserable on the plan, while I'm trying to lose weight, then what am I going to do to maintain the weight loss? Because I always, that was the mistake I kept making before, because I struggled with my weight my entire life. I would inevitably go back to doing all those things that I had done before, in order to that made me gain weight. So in other words, like, I could go on the diet, and I would be on the diet, and I was having success. Like, I would lose the weight, but then, you get down to your goal weight, and then I'd be like, well, now I get to just behave normally. And so what would happen? Well, I gain all the weight back, and then I'd be really frustrated. And it's really hard. Like, when you regain the weight so many times, it starts to feel like, why even bother? Like, why bother? And so I knew that I wanted to change it this time. I knew I was like, I need to do permanent lifestyle change. I kept hearing that, like, for so long I heard, like, it's got to be permanent. Everything you do has to be like permanent lifestyle change. It's true. you at least have, you don't have to do intermittent fasting for the rest of your life, but you do have to take those lessons and then implement them. So like, could somebody like go back to eating 3 meals a day? Yeah, you just have to, like, if you're doing OMAD, split that OMAD up into 3 separate meals and eat that, you know, which is difficult to do in my opinion because I like bigger meals. Let's see. Miss Dougal Dog, Mindy's book is, let's see, Mindy. Who is Mindy? Fast Like a Girl, and she has a, Mindy Pelz, okay. Okay, sorry, I was a little bit behind there. She has an awesome YouTube channel as well, full of research and science behind the scenes. Okay, and she just had Jackie on her podcast. Okay, cool, very cool. I'll have to check her out. Maybe she'll be interviewed on this channel. Okay, let's see. Love your channel. Miss Dougal Dog says, love your channel, and you appreciate the encouragement for the daily steps goal. Yeah, I find that the daily steps goal is really helpful for several reasons. One, it gave me a consistent way to be active, and I couldn't make excuses to not get it in. Like, so in other words, like every other thing, I always felt like I could make a reasonable excuse to myself, like jogging, right? Like, there were times where my knees would really hurt, and I would think, well, you know, I'm being kind to myself by not going out for a run because my knees hurt. Or, you know, like with lifting weights, as much as I love lifting weights, it was like, well, but I couldn't get to the gym today because, you know, X, Y, or Z. But the walking, I never have been able to really give myself a good excuse. I still do take days off from time to time. I do want to make that clear. Like, you know, if I'm like on vacation, things like that. Occasionally there are just days where it's like, I literally, unless I want to stay up 2 extra hours, I didn't have time to get them in. That's rare though. And but I do find that the walking, having the step goal, has been the best way to have consistency in my life. Let's see here. Yeah, let's see. I'm really not good at trying to do this, and I wanted to put the link to the Jackie Moravec thing. Here we go. Hopefully it won't start playing. It would. Okay, there we go. There we go, and I'll pop that in the chat. There we go. So that's Jackie's success story interview. All right. Next question. Oh, and Mercedes is in here, and she had me on her podcast, and that'll be coming out soon. I had a really good time talking to her. And if anyone has a podcast and you'd like me to be on it, I'm happy to come and talk about intermittent fasting, weight loss, all that good stuff. If it's related to what you do on your podcast, you can reach out to interviews@sixmilestosuffer.com. Let's see. Question. Let's see. And yes, she is okay, so yeah, Jackie is a clean faster. Okay. Ren said, how old are you and how old were you when you started intermittent fasting? Okay, so I'm 38 right now. I will be 39 in November. I started intermittent fasting at the very end of 2014, which means I was 30. Wow, is that right? So that was when I first heard about it. I was not consistent with I wasn't consistent with intermittent fasting until 2016, but I did a lot of intermittent fasting in 2015. I was like trying it on, you know, I was trying, and I would quit a lot. And so, because I would just quit a lot when I was struggling with my weight. So yeah, so that's how old I am. Pushing 40. Let's see. Billin, I hopefully pronounced that right. Hi Kayla, my weight is going down since watching your videos and being consistent, so thank you. Oh, well, excellent. Congratulations on your success. Just keep at it. Just keep going with it. Health Hollow said, you may have already told us this, but do you walk fast, or is it just a leisurely walk? Do you find it makes a difference? Yes, I do find it makes a difference. I walk at a leisurely pace. I do not fast walk. I don't walk fast. I don't like walking fast. It takes the joy out of it for me. So when I was initially, when I set my goal, I was like, okay, I'm going to walk 6 miles. 6 miles a day. I'm going to walk 6 miles a day. And so at first I was just walking the 6 miles a day. I was like, all right. And then I got really consistent with that. And then I was like, well, I really should start like walking fast probably, because then, you know, like I was in my head thinking, well, it'll burn more calories. So then that's what I should do. And so I tried, you know, walking faster, and I hated it. I was like, this is not relaxing. I was not enjoying it. And I could tell. I was like, if I keep doing it this way, I'm going to quit. And I didn't want to quit on myself again. So I was like, I'm just going to make it enjoyable. And that's what I did. And that's what I've done. And so by doing that, by making it enjoyable, I have stuck with it. And again, I used to be the type to quit all the time on various, you know, like there are exercises that I love to do. Zumba, like I had this game on, let's see, what was it? Wii. It was the Wii version of Zumba. I loved that. I would, you know, dance, and it was fun. Dance Revolution back in the day, like that was back in, that was when I was losing the baby weight from baby number 1. I would do DDR, like just like, I mean, for like an hour. I was like, it was really high intensity. I loved it. Let's see, other things I've run, you know, 3 miles a day. I would just like for a while, like, and this is when I was obese. It was like 2014. Yeah, 2014. And I would like 3 miles a day, just get out there and run it. And again, you know, I didn't stick with it. I did try for, let's see, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was something like 2019. For a few weeks there, I would run 6 miles a day, because I thought, hey, you know, like that'll be good. Like I know how to do the 6 miles a day thing, so I just need to start running it. And I just didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. And you have to find that thing that you can convince yourself to get out there and do consistently. And for me, it's walking at a leisurely pace. So yes, I did find it makes a difference. You have to do I have to do what I enjoy in order to get myself out there and doing it. Otherwise I just won't do it. And it was important to me to find something that I could do consistently. The one thing that I really, I'm hopeful that I will start doing soon is powerlifting again. I'm not going to injure myself this next time. That's my goal, is to powerlift but not hurt myself, because that's what led me to walking. I was doing a deadlift and I did something in my back. I don't know what it was. I did not go to the doctor. I just like was in pain for weeks. Cause I knew really there was probably nothing they could do except for maybe give me some painkillers, but, which I wouldn't have taken. So I was like, well, I'm just going to see if I heal. And I did. But I really, that is one thing I have missed, and I have missed it for, let's see, I mean, it was 2016. Is that right? Yeah, 2016 No, 2015. So it's been 8 years. So I've been saying for 8 years I'm going to get back into powerlifting, and so maybe I finally will. Let's see. Other questions. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yes, I had Jackie on my podcast. I did a crossover. I usually keep okay, so the podcast, I experimented like this past month or so with putting the podcast also onto YouTube, because YouTube was like, you know, encouraging creators to do that. But I found that it was a lot of extra work, and it made it really a lot more difficult to record the podcast, because trying to be on camera and doing a podcast was pretty awkward to me. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna keep them back separate. So my podcast has different topics it's still about weight loss. It's still about a lot about intermittent fasting. There's a lot of mindset stuff on there too about the weight loss journey. Basically it's like, if I don't feel like it'd be a great video, then I put it in the podcast. Like if it feels like it's better as a podcast. But I will do the success stories. I'll take the audio and then I'll put them on the podcast. So hopefully that's not confusing, but that is my plan going forward, is just to keep the two separate again. So the podcast you can get those wherever you get your podcast too. Let's see here. Maria H. Agley or Agley says, I'm so happy I found your channel. Oh, good. You have really valuable knowledge and insight. Well, that's very kind. Oh, and you read my 2 books. Well, thank you for buying my books. I appreciate that a lot. And also I appreciate anybody who has bought a book or both books. Actually, I never talk about my fiction book, but I do have a fiction book, young adult fiction book that I wrote. And so, yeah, I appreciate everyone who has bought books, and or I've done coaching in the past, and I appreciate everyone who's coached or been coached, I should say. And I do appreciate that. And for anybody who out there has reviewed the podcast or reviewed the books on Amazon or anything, that's really helpful too. So thank you for that. I appreciate honest reviews in all the places. So yeah, let's see. Can I increase the volume a little bit? Is the volume too low? My levels look pretty good, but I can see if maybe that's better. Maybe that. So tell me if that helps, Ray. Let's see here. Oh, you got your steps in today, Mercedes. Congratulations. That's really good. You know, it is such a victory. And this is one really good thing about Fitbit. So I don't currently have a Fitbit, but I did buy myself a Fitbit in 2014. And at that time, it was a lot of money for me to buy one. I mean, I think it was like $70, and we were not in a place where a $70 like fitness tracker was in the budget. It was Christmas time, and I bought myself one for Christmas, and it was really one of the best things I ever did for myself, because I think because it was a little bit more expensive, it like made me want to use it more, and then by using it was like holding up a mirror all the time, like to how inactive I was. Because before I started wearing the Fitbit, I really thought I am very active. In my head, I was like, I move so much. Like I had 3 kids, 3 small kids at the time. My kids were like 8, something like 8, 6, and 2 or something like that. I think that's right, or maybe 3. But I thought, I was getting so much movement in. I would have thought like, man, I'm probably walking 5 miles a day just by getting steps in, and it was like I think the first day it was like 1,800 steps, something like that. And I had to really, I mean, it took a major effort, because when you get the Fitbit, it's like it automatically recommends like 10,000 steps a day. I think it was like the American Heart Association. They recommended that at that time. I don't know what their current recommendations are, but anyway, it was this just another reality check. I just needed some reality checks in my life. The Fitbit was the first reality check, like, hey, you're sedentary. Getting on the scale, it was like, hey, you're obese. Well, and the initial thing that kicked all this off was getting tagged in Facebook photos and not recognizing myself. So, and that was just like another reality check, like here's where you're at, And so, yeah. These things are all good. The point is, the Fitbit, another really good thing that the Fitbit did was it gave me digital badges, which I know that sounds like, why would that help motivate you? But it was nice. It was nice to get like this little recognition, like, hey, you're doing something. It was nice to get that. It was motivating. So find something like that helps motivate you. I mean, like, if it can be a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be a digital badge, but it can be like setting personal best for anything. Like, I would do personal best for steps, but like if you are a weightlifter, then working on hitting personal best, things like that are useful. Okay, let's see here. We're about ready to wrap up. Let's see if there are any other questions. Oh, what is your favorite dessert? Billin asks. That's a really good question, because I really love to bake. I love lots of different desserts. I love creme brulee. creme brulee is like one of my favorites. Like if I'm out at a restaurant, it's what I think I really I'm saying that because it's not one of those that I can easily make. Like I like to make lots of desserts, but that's one of those, it's kind of like a pain to do it. So I've only made it like 1 or 2 times. So that one, it seems more special because you kind of have, like a lot of times you got to be at a nicer kind of restaurant to get it. So yeah, either that. I love cheesecake also, really love cheesecake. And I love all things chocolate too. So it really depends on my mood. And I love pie. I mean, I do. I have a sweet tooth for sure. Like I love so many desserts. Okay, so let's see. I think that might actually be all the questions. So thank you guys for joining. And I hope that you got some value out of this. And I will see you guys next week.